Coming up in the news, the United States government donating thousands of doses of the Pfizer vaccine to the Bahamas. Also, the Minister of Health giving an update on the country's response to the pandemic. And the president of Carnival Cruises remain optimistic about the Grand Bahama project. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Roll-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news tonight, some good news for Bahamians and residents wishing to take the COVID-19 vaccine. While thousands of doses of the AstraZeneca have been administered throughout the country, residents will now have a second option as the Bahamas will receive a large supply of the Pfizer vaccine tomorrow. The Prime Minister making the major announcement in Parliament this morning. Our Jamila Mizik has tonight's top story.
Speaker.
Prime Minister the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis announcing in the House of Assembly that the Bahamas will receive 128,700 doses of the Pfizer vaccine donated by the U.S. government on Thursday, August 12th.
This 128,700 doses of vaccine represents the first tranche of the total 397,000 doses that we would receive from the government of the United States of America. I thank the U.S. government for this generous donation, including the assistance of the U.S. Embassy here in Nassau.
Prime Minister Minnis reiterating that the Pfizer vaccine will be available to adults and young people between the ages of 12 and 17 years old with the consent of a parent or guardian. He notes that with the vaccines that are already in country and those that are on the way, the Bahamas will have the capacity to vaccinate all Bahamians who wish to be vaccinated, and the country will be able to begin the transition process away from the emergency orders. He shares this update on vaccinations in New Providence and Grand Bahama.
There are over 7,500 appointments available and booked for this week for New Providence and Grand Bahama. And Mr. Speaker, I've been advised that it is our intention to try and obtain a goal of at least with the volunteers, and I'm certain that the Bahamians hear my voice, we need every man on board. With the volunteers, we would be able to achieve and would attempt to achieve 3,000 per day.
Now, as of August 10th, the Bahamas has administered a total of 111,305 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Dr. Minnis also noting that effective immediately, new curfew hours are implemented on the island of Bimini.
Because their case numbers have improved, the curfew hours for Bimini are being moved from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., as is the case on New Providence and Grand Bahama.
Prime Minister Minnis noting that once virus circulation decreases, the government will be able to ease the restrictions, and he's urging Bahamians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible in an effort to combat the variants that may enter the Bahamas. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Meanwhile, it's been 16 months since the start of the global pandemic, yet COVID-19 remains unrelenting. Tonight, the Minister of Health giving an update on the country's fight, along with some sobering statistics. Minister of Health Renwood Wells says that all indicators show an upward trend in COVID-19.
Such that as of Monday the 9th of August 2021, there were 15,915 confirmed cases for the Bahamas. On that date, 121 new cases were confirmed. On Friday past, we published a record high of 228 new confirmed cases. Currently, Mr. Speaker, our hospitalization stands at 134 with 10 persons in ICU. And unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, our deaths now stand at 308 with an additional 38 remaining under investigation.
He says multiple islands are recording an increase in cases. When it comes to deaths, he gave this breakdown.
Speaker, from an absolute perspective, the first wave lasted 16 weeks and claimed 11 lives. The second wave lasted 34 weeks and claimed 170 lives. We are now into the 23rd weeks of the third wave, and already 126 lives have been lost. For percentage perspective, deaths during this wave thus far represents 41% of the total COVID-19 death burden. The case fatality rate of this wave currently is at 1.9%, not far below the 2.1% that we observed during the second wave.
And this is why he says the ongoing vaccination program is important. And he adds that restrictive measures had to be put in place.
Mr. Speaker, given our current COVID-19 national pandemic profile, now is not the time to relax measures. While tightening measures may not have been palatable to some, as the Prime Minister would have reiterated earlier, it is undeniable that we have achieved great success with the mitigation and control of the spread of SARS-CoV-2 due to the number and nature of the emergency orders we have employed in country.
Wells notes that the Bahamas National Reference Lab continues screening for variants
and continue to identify mutations suggestive of variants. Capacity for definitively sequencing of these samples to determine which variant is not available in country, but stay tuned, Bahamas, stay tuned. However, an additional 100 samples spanning the period May to July have been sent to the Fiocruz Brazil laboratory for genomic sequencing. While we await results, the surge in new cases and hospitalization, which occurred beginning 4 weeks ago, and the increase in new cases over the 4-week period of 140% far outpaced the increase of the 4-week period leading into the second wave, Mr. Speaker, which was just some 48%. This suggests, Mr. Speaker, that perhaps we are experiencing something different in country.
The Minister of Health is confident that the measures put in place through vaccines and public health measures will flatten this third wave. In other news, still no official word yet on when construction will begin on the multi-million-dollar cruise port here in Grand Bahama. Although discussions have been progressing, tonight Altavis Munnings tells us that the president of Carnival Cruises remains very optimistic about the project.
We're very hopeful that we will get some positive news soon.
It was 2 years ago when Carnival Cruise Lines signed an agreement with government to construct a new cruise port on Grand Bahama, touted as the largest purpose-built cruise facility ever constructed in the Bahamas. Fast forward to 2021, and no word yet on when the project will finally get underway. Carnival Cruise Lines President Christine Duffy, though, remains optimistic.
There was a meeting, I think, on August 4th, an open meeting, and our leader, who is managing the project for Carnival, participated. I don't know that there were any questions or issues raised that would cause us to believe that we can't get this. But again, we need to respect your laws and your process, which is what we're doing. So, but hopefully next time we speak, it'll be to celebrate some good news.
And the good news is this project, which will happen in phases, is expected to transform Grand Bahama's tourism sector. 2 cruise liners will be able to dock at the pier simultaneously for guests to enjoy the beach, food, beverage, and shopping outlets, a wide array of water-based amenities, and other recreational facilities. The venture is expected to eventually host up to 1 million guests annually, translating into sound economic sense for Grand Bahama.
The ship will not provide the services. It will be jobs and businesses from Grand Bahama. So that's, I believe it'll be nearly 1,000 jobs for people in Grand Bahama. And again, we come year round. So it's not that it's seasonal. And we think that that's really going to be a big benefit. The proximity for us and the ships to have multiple places to call in the Bahamas is a real positive and gives the guests a great experience. Even though they're within the Bahamas, each place has something different and unique to offer.
Carnival officials maintain their Grand Bahama cruise venture is subject to a detailed public discussion process, environmental studies, and permitting. Altavis Munnings, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Alto. Well, in news from the crime beat, two men are behind bars as police on Grand Bahamas seized suspected marijuana in two separate incidents. On August 10th, a team of officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit acting on information proceeded to Peridot Place, Coral Gardens, and conducted a search of an abandoned two-story building. While searching a wooden cabinet on the inside of the building, officers discovered two clear plastic Ziploc bags containing a large quantity of suspected marijuana weighing about 3.5 ounces. One male is in police custody in connection with this matter. Now, in the second incident, also on Tuesday, a team of officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit acting on information received information and armed with a search warrant proceeded to a wooden structure located in Hannah Hill, 8 Mile Rock. Now, while conducting that search, officers discovered one clear plastic bag containing a quantity of suspected marijuana at an estimated weight of 7 grams. One man is in police custody in connection with that incident, and investigation continues into both matters. And stay with us, we'll be back right after this.